Okay, so have you ever felt that buzz, when you're upgrading your tech setup?
Oh, yeah, that excitement, new features, maybe better performance.
Exactly. And then, bam, you hit some weird wall, totally unexpected problems.
Happens to the best of us. That optimistic click that suddenly goes sideways.
Well, yeah, a Proxmox user recently had a spectacularly sideways moment, and it's got people talking.
Ah, I think I saw something about this.
Yeah, they were doing what sounded like a routine upgrade, getting Proxmox up to 8.4.1, and also messing around with GPU pass-through.
Okay, standard Homelab stuff. Proxmox is huge for that.
Right, it's that open source virtualization platform, super powerful, lets you run lots of virtual machines on one box. And the key thing, its stability comes from Debian Linux,
Mm,
right? Like the stable versions.
exactly. Bullseye, Bookworm. Proxmox builds on those solid foundations. That's kind of the point.
So reliable car, dependable engine, like we talked about before.
That's a good way to put it. You mess with that Debian engine, you risk the whole Proxmox vehicle.
And that's pretty much what happened. This user had what they called a YOLO moment.
Oh.
Yeah, they ran apt upgrade right from the Debian shell. And suddenly their system wasn't just Proxmox on Bookworm anymore. It was this hybrid, a Proxmox Trixie Chimera.
Trixie, as in Debian unstable.
That's the one. Like swapping the reliable engine for, I don't know,
Hmm?
a jet engine prototype that might explode.
Wow. Okay, that's bold. Especially for your hypervisor. That's a big risk.
Tell me about it. Their first reaction online was basically, seriously, how fed am I?
Ah, I can imagine.
And it just kicked off this huge discussion. Like, 1 minute, the Proxmox web UI is showing hundreds of updates from these bleeding-edge repos, then none. DNS broke. It was a mess.
Yeah, running on the unstable branch when you expect stability,
Yeah.
that's a recipe for headaches.
So that's our mission today. Let's dig into what actually happened, what the fallout could be, and maybe most importantly, how you listening can avoid this kind of adventure.
Sounds good. Understanding the moving parts here is definitely key. It's a good reminder about knowing your foundations.
Okay, so let's break it down. How does a stable Proxmox setup suddenly morph into this Trixie monster?
Well, it all comes back to that Proxmox-Debian relationship. Proxmox is specifically built for stable Debian releases. Right now, that's Bookworm, Debian 12, or maybe the older Bullseye, 11.
Then a normal Proxmox update, like 8.3 to 8.4.1, that should be fine.
Generally, yes. If you follow the official Proxmox steps, it's tested, it's managed, it updates Proxmox within that stable Debian base.
But this user didn't just update Proxmox bits.
Exactly. They shifted the entire underlying Debian system from stable Bookworm to unstable Trixie. That's a whole different level of change.
But how? Just running apt upgrade doesn't normally do that, right? It updates things in your current version.
You're absolutely right. A standard apt upgrade just installs newer versions of the packages you already have based on your current release. So the consensus online, and it makes the most sense, is that they must have changed their etcat sources.list file at some point before this.
The sources list. It's like the system's address book for software updates.
Perfect analogy. It tells apt where to look for packages. And probably, while trying to set up GPU pass-through, they followed some guide.
Ah, and maybe added a repository for drivers or something.
Exactly. And in doing that, they likely added or changed a line to point not just to Bookworm, but to the Trixie or maybe even the SID repositories. Trixie's testing, SID is unstable, the real bleeding edge.
So the apt upgrade command wasn't the villain. It was just following bad directions from the sources.list file.
Precisely. Once that file said, go get stuff from Trixie, running apt upgrade, or even riskier, apt full upgrade.
Full upgrade can remove stuff too, right?
Yeah, it can remove packages to resolve conflicts when doing major version jumps, which makes it even more dangerous in this scenario. So it just pulled in potentially hundreds of new packages from the unstable branch.
Creating this unsupported, unpredictable hybrid.
Bingo. Proxmox running on a constantly changing, potentially buggy Debian base it wasn't designed for.
And the user knew it was dicey. I saw that quote, something like, could be resolved with Proxmox 9, could be broken next week.
That really nails it. That's the reality of running unstable. It might seem fine now, but the next update, whether it's a small Debian package or a major Proxmox upgrade, could break everything because the foundation isn't what Proxmox expects.
Okay, so the system's a chimera. The community jumps in. What were the main suggestions? What can we learn from those?
Right. The advice pretty much fell into three camps. The most common, by far, was reinstall.
Just wipe it and start clean.
Yeah. A lot of experienced folks pointed out, look, Proxmox is a hypervisor. Its job number one is stability. It's not really the place you want to be experimenting with unstable OS releases underneath.
Makes sense. You want that foundation solid. And backups are mentioned, I assume.
Oh, absolutely. Nonstop. Someone running a big HPE cluster really hammered on having good tested backups. If the hypervisor goes sideways, a clean install and restoring VMs from backup is often the fastest, most reliable fix.
Like an undo button for your whole setup.
Exactly. Someone else put it bluntly. Backup VMSLXs, reinstall Proxmox, restore VMSLXs. Simple, effective.
And what was that idea about disposable Proxmox? That sounded interesting.
Yeah, that's a philosophy, really. Keep the actual Proxmox install minimal. Don't customize it too much. Document everything you do change.
Okay.
And crucially, keep your VM data and your backups on totally separate disks or systems. The idea is if the Proxmox host itself breaks, like in this case, you can just pave it over and reinstall Proxmox really quickly.
So the host OS becomes almost trivial to replace.
Right. One person bragged they could reinstall Proxmox in 5 minutes, restore VMs in 15. That's the goal for critical systems. You don't want to be sweating bullets during a major Proxmox version upgrade, wondering if your underlying Debian Frankenstein is going to blow up.
Okay, so reinstall is option 1, the safe bet. What was option 2?
Option 2 was riskier. Try to downgrade Debian from Trixie back to Bookworm.
Ooh, can you even do that easily?
Well, easily is relative. Someone linked to the official Debian guide for downgrading. It involves carefully editing sources.list back to Bookworm, then using something called package pinning.
Pinning. Like telling it to prefer Bookworm versions.
Exactly. You have to tell apt very specifically which versions to install or keep. Then you carefully try to roll back the updates. It's complex.
Sounds like a headache waiting to happen.
It definitely can be. The person suggesting it admitted you might need small fixes here and there. Debian's usually pretty good, but rolling back a whole release version, there's a high chance of things breaking in subtle ways. Maybe fun for a Homelab challenge, but probably not for anything important.
Okay, not for the faint of heart.
Mm-hmm.
And the third option, the one the original poster was leaning towards.
Option 3, embrace the chaos. Just keep the Trixie Chimera running and see what happens.
Seriously?
Yeah, the OP seemed kind of amused by it. Said something like, I like to think I run a Chimera no one else got to meet.
Okay, points for adventurous spirit.
Right. They plan to keep good backups, monitor it closely, and noted it seemed okay for now.
And someone else even encouraged them, like, venture forth into brave, undiscovered lands.
Yep. See if you can make it work until Proxmox 9 comes out. It really captures that experimental Homelab vibe.
But there were warnings, too, I bet.
Oh, absolutely. The counterpoint was clear. Nobody knows how well that Chimera will work. It could be fine, it could develop weird bugs, it could, as one person colorfully put it, eat your cat while you sleep.
Okay, maybe not literally, but point taken, high risk, unpredictable.
Exactly. Fun for some tinkerers maybe, but definitely playing with fire.
Right. So we've seen the mess, the potential fixes, the community debate. Let's crystallize the takeaways. How do we avoid our own Trixie nightmare?
Okay, absolutely. Lesson number 1, and this is crucial, double-check your etcap sources.list file, always, before you run apt upgrade or apt install or anything.
Make sure it only points to Bookworm or whatever the stable release is for your Proxmox version.
Precisely. Be super careful if you've added any extra repositories, especially ones you found in some random tutorial for drivers or tools. That's often where the trouble starts.
Got it. Know your sources. What's next?
2. Backups, backups, backups. Seriously. VMs, containers, Proxmox config files, everything.
And not just on the Proxmox server.
Definitely not. Separate drive minimum, ideally a whole separate system, network attached storage, another server, cloud storage, whatever. Think like that user. Proxmox on its own small boot drive, VMs on another, backup somewhere else entirely.
Test the restore.
Yes. Don't just have backups. Test restoring from them regularly. A backup you can't restore is just wasted disk space. It's your safety net. Make sure it doesn't have holes.
Okay, good one. Check sources, backup, and test restores. What else?
3. Document your changes. Any customization, anything you tweaked, especially in config files, write it down.
Because future you will thank you.
Exactly that quote. If you ever do need to rebuild, especially if it's complex, having notes is a lifesaver. You won't remember that weird kernel parameter you added 6 months ago.
True that. Okay, what's number 4?
4. Stick to stable releases for the Proxmox host itself. Proxmox expects stable Debian. Don't run Trixie or sit underneath it unless you truly enjoy troubleshooting and potential chaos.
If you want to play with new Debian stuff.
Use a VM. Spin up a Debian Trixie virtual machine inside your stable Proxmox. Experiment there. Keep your hypervisor's foundations solid and reliable.
Smart. Keep the experiments contained. And the last one.
And finally, 5. Follow official guides, especially for big things like version upgrades or complex setups like GPU passthrough. Use the Proxmox documentation first. Use guides from trusted community sources second. Avoid random blog posts from 2017.
Because they might have outdated or just plain wrong instructions that lead you to mess up your sources.list.
You got it. Stick to the known paths when you're dealing with the core infrastructure.
Man, this whole thing really drives home how powerful Proxmox is, but also how important it is to understand at least a little what's going on underneath. It's not just a magic box.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic tool for Homelabbers, a great open source alternative. But yeah, understanding that Debian layer is pretty key, as this user found out, maybe the hard way.
Yeah, they were probably deep in the weeds of CPU pinning for the GPU and then tripped over this fundamental OS thing.
It happens. And honestly, that's part of the Homelab journey, right? Learning through doing, sometimes learning through messing up.
For sure. It can be frustrating, but you definitely learn resilience, and you understand things much more deeply afterwards. It's about caution, but also curiosity.
And the community reaction shows that, too. People helping out, sharing their own war stories. It's a good ecosystem.
So thinking back to that initial question, that upgrade excitement turning into dread, this user's story is a great reminder, isn't it? Understand the system, be careful with core changes.
Yeah, and know your own tolerance for risk. Reinstalling is safe. Downgrading is tricky. Embracing the Chimera is, well, an adventure.
Choose your own adventure indeed. So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is to consider that balance in your own projects. How much experimentation are you comfortable with versus needing that absolute stability? What kind of Chimera are you willing to risk?